Nice on your foot. I told you we were stick around. So, when we're talking about push-pull, we talked about it a little bit last week, but here's the thing, right? If I'm a backup fighter, right, and Noah's just going to press it in me, and every time he does anything, I'm just going to do that, it's very hard to figure out exactly what you do if you do something like that and push and hope. So your answer is with your feet, where that often is, right? In this case, depending on whatever your back foot is, in Noah's case, he's fighting left foot forward, so it's his right foot. What he's going to do is he's going to kind of move laterally one direction or the other, like make me feel not so uncomfortable. I'll start to back up a little bit as it gets closer. His back foot will start getting closer to his front foot, and then when he decides to go, the step is much bigger than my backward step will be, and he can catch me, so his follow is going to be much better. So what you can do is just like press into him, right, because he's going to run. They're going to do this, right? That's the thing that they do. So it's not really that productive to press into him. And then what you're going to start doing, as they get used to that, is you're going to flirt inside and outside of that range, right? So you make them feel uncomfortable, and then you get back a little bit, right? So here they come. And then you kind of push in, and then you get back a little bit. And then you wait for them to come. And they take a step. That is when you go for your move. As they're stepping, open with your opener, right? So you're playing a back and forth game. It's a push and pull. It really is. Like, if I do this to Noah, I push him. If I do this, I pull him. It's really weird, and even back pedal fighters do it. They like want to keep a certain distance. And so you make that distance vary by kind of closing the leg close and slowly closing off that space with lateral movement. It doesn't have to be real significant lateral movement. It can be back and forth. Although I wouldn't do it this way. Just kind of press and slide back a little bit. Slide back here, stand up a little closer every time. It's not so obvious to him that that's what's going on, right? So that's the principles behind push and pull. Something that I just worked with Cricks on, that Noah doesn't even know I just did, so he'll get to learn too, is it's about varying your openers, right? We were going to talk about this tonight. Here's the problem. If I always fight this exact same way, right, and I'm approaching Noah, and I wait till I get right here before I do anything, well, Noah knows that he doesn't have to be uncomfortable until I'm right here. The same way if it's right here, right? He knows that out here, he's fine. Right? Barely more, maybe here. So basically, what I was telling Cricks is you need to start threatening like as soon as you're in range. They need to feel uncomfortable. If someone feels comfortable fighting you at long range, like you're not, I mean, obviously people that are really good might be comfortable, but they shouldn't feel like you're not going to throw anything from a distance, right? You need to be able to open or threaten from a distance to start controlling the fight. So, like as soon as the fight hits about here, I'm threatening, right? I might, and now we'll talk about the movement piece. I might strike left. Now Noah's worried about that shoulder. He already noticed I stepped left. He's worried about that shoulder. The shield already kind of slightly moved that way. If I throw face that way with my body, right, from out here, it's opened up. I can just pop over, boom, and I can take the step, boom, to get over that shield. But we did that with the step and the threaten, right? Now, in order for that to work, you have to actually throw that shot sometimes. So you come from here, step left, right? Now he's worried about it. He's like, oh shit, he's going to throw from there. It's a shot that Arthon uses all the time, so it's a very good shot, especially if they come in and they do this with their sword. Then, boom, it's right there, right? You can just hit it in that slot. Especially people that do stuff like this all the time, and they're constantly moving their weapon around, just pop them in that shoulder. But the definite best way to threaten that, especially if you're short and don't have a ton of reach, is just that left step. So when he approaches me, he steps, looks for that, and then throws, right? But from here, yeah, see? Now, I know I have to worry about it from out there. So when he goes to do that as a feint, right, I'm going to react. Exactly, I'm going to react to it. But if I never throw from those ranges, no one's ever worried about me doing anything from there. If I only throw when I get to here, say, then that's all they're worried about. Like it'll just be in the back of their head. It's not even something they'll consciously think about. They'll just be like, I know Noah throws from this distance, so I don't have to worry about him until he's here. So anything you do out here, they're not going to react to. So if I'm out here and I go like this, he's not going to react to as much. Whereas if I stabbed him a few times, now he's worried about it, right? Then this thing matters. It becomes something meaningful. You have to throw the shots from there. You know, maybe you have to throw a hit, even if he's going to block it. And then, even if that follow gets blocked, step back out. Now he's worried about it from this distance, right? So I could do this, right? But you can't do that to a good fighter unless they're worried about it. So you need to vary the ranges that you open, and then you need to vary your openers. You can't always go, right? You can't always go high cross open, right? There's nothing inherently wrong with it as an opener. There's a lot inherently wrong with it as your only opener, right? I mean, you can do a lot of stuff off of it. That's nice off a high cross opener, right? But that can't be your only one. That's one. Maybe this is another one, right? Maybe stab them there, right? Maybe ass wrap is one, right? Sword side hip could be one. High side board. But you have to throw all those as different openers. If your opponent knows what you're going to do, you're pretty much in trouble. And in Crick's case, he'll get to the range that he likes, and then he'll throw a high cross. That's pretty much what's going to happen. And so that's why he needs to learn. And y'all got to learn, because I was thinking about it, y'all all got to learn with him. Vary those openers, vary the range from which you open, and it'll make a ton of difference for you. All right? That's it. Go on. Kill some people.
We're hearing Kyle and I talk there. Kyle brought up a very good question about how my movement was getting him to do something, or he was not getting him to do. I don't really like using that term because you can only really kind of control yourself. You can't really control the other person. But he was turning to respond to what I was doing, or react to what I was doing. I was taking advantage of that by throwing to his sword side. Kyle's a lefty, I'm a righty. And he hit on a good point there at the end, is that the reason that was happening, stand up Kyle, the reason that was happening is as I went to his right side, my left side, his upper torso, exactly, was turning, but he wasn't repositioning with his feet, okay? So as he turned his top torso, as I'm moving my whole body, this became really juicy, and I was just throwing this really big wrap off to this side, right? And I mean, if I got the arm pulled, if I got the shoulder pulled, the back, the hip, it really didn't matter. I just knew that I could probably throw here before he realized the danger in this area. As I move this way, I like to throw this on Kyle. I also like to throw that on Kyle. I like to throw the spin, right? But had Kyle moved with his entire body right with me, and I throw that big wrap, throwing right into his guard, or I'm throwing with enough time for him to see what's happening, I'm telegraphing, and he can either counter, or move his shield over, and go up top, or do anything like that. So the lesson here is that you want to try and practice full body unity, right? What I mean by that is when you move, you want the whole body, you want the upper part of your body to move with the lower part of your body. It's a very important part of footwork, and you can ask Dalos or any of the guys that know footwork, but moving the whole body, you're not going to do it every time in a fight. The fight is kind of chaotic, so sometimes we'll do this, we'll do that, or if you're Eric, you'll be down over here doing that. There are always the exceptions to the rule, but when you move, even when Eric is doing this guy, he's not going like that. His whole body moves with the shot. Man, he's almost going through or past you, right? And that's something you really want to think about with your shots. If you have like a shoulder shot and you're just not landing, and you're like, well, I'm stepping into range and I'm throwing it, you could be step throw, or you could be going throw step, instead of making it one succinct movement, right? So just kind of an interesting thing, interesting lesson that we were talking about there during the practice that I thought should probably be reiterated.